The interesting note from the Observer comes out on August 16th, 1999, from your boy, Dave Meltzer. He writes, Austin also reportedly refused to work TV matches against either Billy Gunn or Jeff Jarrett, feeling neither were over enough to deserve the rub. Boy, we could talk about this for the rest of the episode. We're going to probably wind up tabling most of the conversation for another episode so we can go in great detail, long form. But of course, they had tried the whole Billy Gunn experiment with him being king of the ring, and maybe we can break them up and do a singles push. And of course, that didn't go exactly according to planned. Rock buried him deeper than anybody's ever been buried before when he did a little prayer to heaven as little Billy. And that was all she wrote. But you had some residual heat, maybe. But it is interesting, this dynamic. You're out here holding hands with his real life girlfriend, or maybe at this point, wife, and she's your quote unquote heater. And this is going fabulously well. And you've been, as we call it here on the show, assistant general manager, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times. You're intercontinental champion, and the world champ doesn't want to work with you. What I'm most interested in talking about, we'll talk about all of that later because it's probably worth a whole episode. How does this make the Observer? Does Austin tell this to JR? Does Austin tell this to Vince Russo? I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, how does Terry Taylor know this, and how does he tell Dave Meltzer? It's got to be Terry, right? Who else would it be?
Here we go. Conrad, I think what you're doing is the proverbial softball you're throwing at me, and you're just hoping that I create a soundbite here and say, well, Conrad, it's this simple. What did I tell you? He's a fiction writer, but I'm not going to do that.
I'm not hoping that. I'm hoping you'll just admit that you think this is Terry Taylor too, because it has to be, right?
Well, why do you pin it on Terry?
Who else would it be? Who else would call up Meltzer and say, oh, you want the scoop? Our big star here thinks he's too big of a star to work with these 2 guys. That would not be JR.
Dave's got 20 years in the business or however long. He's got a lot of, lots and lots and lots of,
stooges,
sources. God, I couldn't come up with that. He's got lots and lots of sources. So, was this a case that the format was put out at noon and changed to 2 and changed to 4, and they're shuffling things around, and well, Austin may work tonight. And if he's going to work, well, no, he's not going to work. But it had nothing to do with Jeff or Billy, or it had everything to do with Jeff or Billy. Look, you got to have some kind of reason why Steve didn't work, I guess. Again, this is Dave's audience that Dave is reporting to. And so whether it's fact or fiction, all kidding aside, it's written. I don't remember the specifics. What did he do on this Raw that made jar some memory? What did he do?
What did he do?
What did he do on this episode of Raw? It says that he didn't work with me and Billy. So what did he do?
Oh, I'm not saying that it was on that particular episode. I was of the opinion that it just meant in the future he wasn't going to.
I got you. Okay. Maybe. Probably accurate. He didn't. But when you're the top babyface, you can dictate a lot of things.
I'm not arguing that at all. He certainly deserves to decide who he wanted to work with. He had earned that right. And I'm not arguing that. I'm just wondering,
how does Dave get it?
How does the information come out?
Yeah. Telephone, telegraph, telewrestler.
Tell Terry Taylor. This comes after, let's add some context. This report comes out after Deborah has not made some appearances. So let me add context to that. You guys were always together, even on the house shows, until Austin is banged up and misses some house shows. And when he's off the road, ... so is she. So if he's at home, she's at home, which means you don't have part of your presentation for the house shows. It's not like you could really say shit anyway, but what'd you feel about that?
Who could?
Yeah.
Good. Nobody. Including Vince. He's not going to die on that hill. So his girlfriend or fiance is going to miss a few live events. Okay, move on.
Let's add a little context though. When you read in the Observer, and let me back that up. You shit on Dave here every week, and I try to tell you not to. And I
do. That's not. Now you're a fiction writer, dadgummit.
Well, listen. Just like we know for sure that Eddie Guerrero had a whole pot of coffee dumped on his head by Eric Bischoff.
Yes,
and you personally put a gun in Vince McMahon's belly to get all the cash.
Belly, maybe shoulder, not belly.
Now we know that you don't like Dave Meltzer. My question is, when you're reading the Observer, well, let me time out there. Were you reading the Observer back then? I know you weren't necessarily a subscriber, but just do guys say, "Hey, take a look at this," and you read it while you're hitting the next town?
Sure. Through the years, I told the Memphis story, and our buddy Pat Trammell referenced it. That he was the one feeding Dave information way back when in the printed version. But yeah, the Observer always floated around for sure.
Okay, let's
where were you going with that question?
You're going to read in here.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Austin doesn't want to work with you or Billy Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're reading this, you're already dealing with the idea that, hey, wait a minute, she's not with me on house shows. Does the combination of those two play into your disgruntlement? And I mean, we know that the JR has been trying to cut your money, and now the top act, who's JR's boy, says he's not going to work with you. And he says it loud and often enough that it's printed in a quote unquote dirt sheet. So now the whole industry knows, or is at least led to believe that. And then, oh, by the way, half of your act on TV, we're not going to give you on house shows either. Is this all compounding with your frustration with the WWF and thinking, man, what if? Is that plausible?
And see, the assumption that you made is that I was frustrated to a higher than normal level. I wasn't, because I was the Intercontinental Champion. I had gone through the Indian Aztec and the Double J reiteration, and from just the coming in promo, things went sideways. I had built myself back up and worked my ass off. Again, always believed in my strengths, my talents. I felt, give me the ball, I'll score. And so, Deborah wasn't working the matches. Was the package, the presentation hot? Yes, but also felt I could get over with Double J and the Roadie, or Double J and Southern Justice, or Double J and X-Pac. I didn't feel it was a must. I have to have this to continue and have success in my career. So I wasn't like really super frustrated. And again, making great money. Although my pay was cut, the downside was cut, I was still making good money. Had the squeaky wheel, and Dustin was a squeaky wheel a couple of times. I was doing a run. X-Pac was a squeaky wheel. I was still making really good money.